not looking at heritage, although of course the two things are connected. And the theme of History Week is the spiritual, social and cultural connections to place. Not hard to do here. There are many, many memories of this place, if not in your heads, in the heads of lots of other people who've spoken to us. There are memories of weddings. People come up to us and say, we got married here, or my mum got married here. There are memories of funerals. There are memories of fates. There are memories of horses being tethered here in what they call the paddock. There are memories of Christmas parties held in the old church hall, which until a few weeks ago was there and has now been pulled down. But one of the things that I want to talk about tonight is the fickleness of memory. Memory is fickle. We remember some things, we misremember some things, we forget some things, and most things are lost in what people call the mists of time. But history, and this is why I love it, is a way that we can hold on to the memories, not just the personal ones in our own heads, but the ones that have been recorded through newspapers, through formal government records, and they're very important here because if you imagine wedding registers, marriage registers, death registers, all those sorts of things. The photographs that people have taken here of events, the stories, the oral histories that people have in their heads. And all of that adds up to a collective memory that most of us don't really hold on to, but we can get hold of it if we use those sorts of sources. And what I wanted to do tonight here, I'm going to talk to you in two chunks, a short one here and then in the bookshop. But here we are standing on the old graveyard of the village of Huskisson. We don't know how old it is. We know it predates the Anglican Church, and it may in fact have predated European settlement. Imagine a man, an Aboriginal man called Jimmy Dan. In Jimmy Dan's head, he owned all the land, but he owned the land specifically. His family lived round about where the car park is, next to the hotel. And in the 1890s, the New South Wales government decided to make all of that land along the foreshore there a public reserve. But out of respect for Jimmy Dan, there is actually a gazettal notice, a government notice in 1892 that says that Jimmy Dan can live on his land until he dies. Interesting the way we define whose land it is, who owns it, who's got what rights. And Jimmy Dan is buried somewhere on this site. Then think about the dents. It's not a complete, Shirley.
They're cheering you on.
The dents are one of the oldest European families, settled families in Huskisson, and the Dents owned a lot of land along Currumbin Street. And in the family history of the Dents, they also owned this land and they gave it to the Anglican Church. In the formal records of the state, they didn't. It was granted by the state. It was Crown land granted to the church. In the head of Jimmy Dan down there, it was of course his land. But think about one dent in particular. And I should say at this point that Maureen and people who've worked at the Jervis Bay Museum and all sorts of other people have done research on this cemetery over the years, and I've pinched quite a lot of stuff from the records that you've supplied. Think about William Dent. He's buried here somewhere. He was buried on the 14th of May, 1899, and he was 1 day old. Think about that in terms of the isolation of this little village. No nurses, no doctor, a mother grieving for a child that is born and dies within the day. Then turn your mind to Sharknet Beach, which is across the road from the church, down there, the little beach. This was the home of James Golding. And James Golding, otherwise known as Bud Billy II, or Bud Billy II, the King of Jervis Bay. We know quite a lot about James Golding because of family memories of the Golding family and because of photographs that were taken of King Billy. We have photographs of him down on Sharknet Bay with 3 or 4 other men that he lived with down there. He's wearing very much the same as anybody would on the beach today, a loose pair of trousers, a bare top, except when you look closely, he's wearing the brass plate that the Europeans have given him saying King of Jervis Bay. To him, it's a matter of pride. To some of the Europeans, it was a matter of a joke that these people were dying out, and we would acknowledge leadership of dominant people in the community in order to contain them and manage them. To us, looking at those photographs today, it's a hugely complex social, cultural story to unravel about our relationship with each other. There are photographs of James Golding dressed as a tracker working for the Nowra police. And there's the formal photograph of James Golding that was taken by a photographic studio in Nowra, and there he is in a waistcoat and a top hat, still wearing the brass plaque that says King of Jervis Bay. And sitting next to him is his wife, Mary Carpenter, dressed up to the nines. That particular photograph was made for a postcard, and that postcard would have been posted to Europe, to Germany, to England, all around the place, to the United States. There are probably many, many people who have an image of James Golding in their memory box, in their photographic collection, even until today.